What is up, my fellow miners? I know a lot of y'all been waiting for this one, so you better hit that like button right now. Before I get started, I already know a lot of you guys are probably saying, oh, he's just gonna say why Eggman should have won and yada yada. And no. And if you don't know me right now, I usually only call out the misinformation and everything that's not true consistently. Whether you like it or not, Death Battle is one of the greatest YouTube channels to ever hit this platform. Nobody's doing fights and all that at such a high skill like them. They started from the bottom, and you can see their quality has just gotten way better since like 10 years ago. I grew up watching Death Battle. I started to really have only one dislike with the channel, literally one. Consistently, they don't put the strongest version of each character against each other. So as a disclaimer, please don't send any hate to Death Battle after this video, and please just keep everything cool and collected. I do not support any toxic comments or hate towards them. Also, most of my longtime people watching me know that I do usually a lot of Sonic and Minecraft videos, but I'll tell you this right now. I played more Mario games than I do Sonic. I know more about Mario than I do Sonic. And if one game had to go, I'm going with Sonic. Mario's games, to me, in my opinion, are just more polished. First, you said that Bowser is described as a Sorcerer King in the first game manual.
The original NES manual even describes him as a Sorcerer King.
It doesn't exactly say this verbatim, but this is true that he is the king of all Koopas who all use black magic. But having the title of the king doesn't mean you're the best. The best sorcerer is actually Kamek, and I'll get more into that later. Next, you said that Bowser comes full package when it comes to magic.
Bowser's all natural. He's got all his best powers built in, and he ain't even a robot.
Forgetting that he's been sprinkled with magic from other Koopalings he's the king of in games like New Yoshi's Island, Mario Bros. Wii, New Super Mario Bros. Wii U, New Super Mario Bros. 2, twice, by regular and dry Bowser. And we're not done yet. Here's a step into the gallery I own, by the way, where Bowser not only has used powers that were not really in fact built into him like a robot, but were given or found by him. Starting out with Mario 64, Bowser uses the power of the Grand Star and takes over the whole kingdom. In both Mario Galaxies 1 and 2, Bowser absorbs or even consumes the Grand Stars and uses the power to try to take over the universe and improve his empire. In Super Mario 3D World, Bowser uses the Super Bell to transform into Meowser. That wasn't built in. In Mario & Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story, Bowser inhales the Vacuum Shroom, granting him the ability to inhale objects and enemies. In Super Mario Wonder, Bowser merges with the Prince of Florian's castle using the power of the Wonder Flower, turning himself into a massive castle-like entirety to dominate the Flower Kingdom. Again, you said yourself that Bowser comes with these powers built in, almost like a robot. But really, just like Eggman, he's finding these powers and or using them to reach his goal. Next, you said that Yoshi created star constellations when defeating Raphael or Rachel the Raven.
Considering how Yoshi punted poor Raphael the Raven so hard he exploded into a constellation of stars.
Keep in mind that this Raven was amped up by Kamek before this fight, which Death Battle did not show. And the reason why this is not a good example to try to say that Yoshi created a stars or star constellations, you know, stars that are big as the sun, our sun, because the Mario universe is very weird and goofy. Remember when you gave the Star Lumas enough bits and they'd blow up and they create a planet? Now clearly this planet is not as big as, let's say, our planet. I wouldn't even say it's as big as our moon. It's nowhere even near the size of New York, and this happens consistently throughout Mario Galaxy. The planets are not that big, even the galaxies, which they say themselves
Infant power stars, aka Lumas, can become whole galaxies.
the planets and not only galaxies that we venture off to as the player in Mario seem almost microscopic compared to the real ones. Keep in mind, galaxies have hundreds of billions of solar systems within them, but clearly these galaxies must be in their very early stages. And again, we're only shown very small planets within these galaxies that are not even as big as our smallest city or biggest island on Earth. But even when you think about how close the stars and suns are in Mario's galaxy, to assume that these constellations are as big as ours, which each star in a constellation is at least millions of light years apart, to others that this might come off as a reach. Especially because dark magic users consistently throughout all of Mario games, even starting with the first one, have dark magic particles or star particles that just disperse out of the enemies once you hit them. 3D Land and 3D World. And for even more context, in New Super Mario Bros. Wii U, you defeat each and every Koopaling, and a second round happens after Kamek buffs them up with more dark magic. And upon defeating them the second time, more stars burst out of them compared to the first time. One last thing you said about Yoshi is that he is weaker than Bowser. But most of you may not know this, but Yoshi has been whooping Bowser since he was a baby. In New Yoshi's Island, we see him beat up baby Bowser for like the third time already in the series, and after that, Bowser comes through time, the real one, the older one, and fights Yoshi and completely is just outmatched in all categories, in speed and strength. Keep in mind, this is a Yoshi who's been literally fighting all night and babysitting. And he fought a Bowser amped up by Kamek after he just got whooped. So, don't know what to tell you right there, but I have to disagree.
Imagine if this crazy OP fire turtle had to fight himself. Oh wait, he did, and he beat the hell out of him.
You can interpret the final fight against Dark Bowser and Bowser's inside story as a 3v1, because the Dark Star Core, which is the source of Dark Bowser's power, went inside of Bowser and was going to consume him from the inside out. And guess who was in his body and defeated the core? Mario and Luigi. And once they destroyed the core, the source of his power, Dark Bowser was unable to move, and that led to Bowser actually defeating him. But it was essentially really just a 3v1 or 2v3, but either way you put it, Bowser did not do what Death Battle said and defeat him himself. Now it's time to talk about Eggman.
The Phantom Ruby was super dangerous, but specifically targets perceptions. Unlike Bowser's Wonder Flower, which mucks up reality for real, the Ruby affected a whole planet, but the Wonder Flower had the power to alter the universe.
You said that the Phantom Ruby only has the power to take over a planet and warp your perception of reality, while the Wonder Flower could take over the whole universe and warp actual reality. Which honestly confuses me, because you said that the Wonder Flower could alter the whole universe, and you said that the Chaos Emeralds can do the same thing and shift the universe. Shift and alter both have the same meaning.
The power of one emerald can shift continents. All 7 together can shift the universe.
So why was the Phantom Ruby compared to the Wonder Flower and not the Chaos Emeralds or the Soul Emeralds or the Master Emeralds, which all have the same properties? Also remember, during Sonic Generations, Time Eater was going around altering and manipulating time and reality itself. And you said in your video that the Chaos Emerald has the power to shift continents, which is not the strongest thing it's done. While Time Eater was going around and trapping everything in time, manipulating the whole timeline, Time Eater was completely overpowered by one Chaos Emerald. One Chaos Emerald was so strong that it had the power to compel a being that is able to manipulate and destroy the whole Sonic timeline. Based off of that alone, one Chaos Emerald is way over planetary. Back to the Wonder Flower, you did say that it alters reality, but here's a reason why it shouldn't be compared to the Chaos Emeralds or Ruby. The flower only alters the space within our reality, not the complete fabric of reality, time and space like the Chaos Emeralds. The Chaos Emeralds, Soul Emeralds, and even Jewel Scepter can all alter reality, and the Phantom Ruby alone doesn't just create illusions that are fake. Controlling gravity isn't just an illusion. Do you think Sonic and Silver are just thinking this in their head and floating up to the sky in their head? Or how about when Tails said that Infinite was using the Phantom Ruby to mess with dimensions through space and time, and that's how classic Sonic got there?
Maybe the power that Eggman is using is somehow affecting other dimensions. Okay.
Was Classic Sonic in an illusion the whole time and never went to the future? The problem is, just like Death Battle, the characters thought that these were just illusions and they were fake within the games.
Stay calm. What you're seeing isn't real.
But later in the game, Tails says it straight up to Knuckles and Sonic Forces, saying that,
Kidding. That's just a special effect, right?
No, it's not. While we're under the Phantom Ruby's control, it's a part of our reality.
as long as you're under the Phantom Ruby's control, it is a part of your reality. In Sonic Mania, it warped space and time to teleport Eggman away from it. It manipulates time and space. The Wonder Flower only manipulates space. Time Eater, the Soul Emeralds, Chaos Emeralds, and even the Jewel Scepter, which is stronger than both the Chaos and Soul Emeralds, and even reverse anything that happens to space using time. The character that Eggman fights against, named Sonic, restores space and time just by running. Altering space and time is way more powerful, and I don't know how that went over your head. And you forgot to show this or left it out when in the comics Eggman said that the Phantom Ruby's power was so strong that he wasn't even going to waste his time going after the Master Emeralds. Lastly, the Phantom Ruby has the power of null space, which in itself is infinite in size.
Prison that goes on forever, huh? At least getting sent here taught me something. Nothing beats realizing that you're not alone.
Putting its power way over planetary with that alone. I didn't think I was going to spend this much time on the Phantom Ruby, but there was actually a lot more stuff said wrong about it, so bear with me, chat. Next, you said that Bowser's army is more loyal and Eggman's is not very much so because they have free will. Then you said that Sage can't take over Bowser's army because they don't use tech.
His alliances are practically guaranteed to fall apart.
Hell, in Sonic Generations, he could barely manage working with himself.
Eggman's army is designed to be controlled by just him. To Eggman, it's harder to command those with free will, hence his rivalry with the free-natured Sonic.
Meanwhile, the Koopa Troop follows Bowser because they actually like him. They train really hard to cover each other's weak points,
Giving them plenty of advantages as this war progressed, like battlefield control through King Boo's magic and Bowser Jr.'s paint. And since the Koopa Troop doesn't rely that much on technology, Sage's hacking potential had little use.
It's true that Bowser's army is very loyal, just like how you said with Kamek earlier in your video, how he can create perfect clones of anyone he wants, and can also buff up anybody he wants with power.
But that's not all the magic he's mastered. Telekinesis, creating perfect clones.
Kamek and King Boo both have magic, but Boo has battlefield control with illusions and destabilizing dimensions, while Kamek focuses on buffing allies, canceling enemy powers, summoning anything he desires.
Not only can the Phantom Ruby clone all of Sonic's past villains and even other characters, he can do it thousands of times over. In the boss fight with Metal Sonic, he buffs Metal Sonic up to its max, which unlike Kamek, who usually is in the area to buff up those characters, Infinite wasn't around to do that and can do it from however distance he wants. When Infinite was defeated, none of the clones went away. Eggman was said to be making thousands of more Shadow the Hedgehogs, and a bunch of others, including Infinites.
What's going on? There aren't less enemies, there's more!
What? How can it be so many?
Confirmed sightings indicate Shadow, Metal Sonic, Zavok, Chaos, Infinite. Thousands of them.
Which is kinda odd because when he was defeated in Sonic Forces, he was still getting cloned, which I don't understand why it didn't happen in the death battle. Even though Sage cannot take over Bowser's army, Eggman says that she will in Sonic Frontiers, which means that Sage taking control over Eggman's whole army would make the argument that Eggman's army wouldn't listen just irrelevant and make no sense because Sage has control over it. And this same thing would apply to Infinite's thousands of clones and Eggman's, as there's not just one Phantom Ruby, but 3 other extra fine-tuned prototypes sitting out there, which is shown in Sonic Forces as well. Another thing you said is that Bowser can change Eggman's army into anything they want with no type of rebuttal or counter to it, which is also false, because the emeralds and rubies and even Jewel Scepter can all restore and manipulate time and space, thus restoring the army and even the battlefield to what it once was. But he can also particleize them as well and shape them back to what they were or to something stronger or different. Let's quickly cover the 3 things I went over that they have listed right here. One reason why Eggman's army is weaker is because it has a less efficient leadership, meaning Eggman doesn't really have that much of a control over his army, but we already talked about this and said that he has full control over his army with people like Infinite and other people who use the Phantom Ruby, as well as Sage and Eggman in his Mega Death Egg, and control the army to do whatever they want. Next, they said his army is mostly vulnerable to transformation magic with no type of counter to it. Again, Eggman has many powers, including emeralds, rubies, and mechs who can fight against someone who can restore space and time. They also can manipulate and particleize their own clones. The best example of this is when Infinite cloned Metal Sonic. Next, Sage's technopathy was ineffective. It may have been ineffective on Bowser's army, but her technopathy can control Eggman's army.
I'll have you network all my robots.
Her technopathy can also control weapons, as it's shown in Sonic Frontiers. We know that Bowser Jr.'s paintbrush is made out of tech as well, made by the GOAT. Not only can Sage take over a lot of advanced tech, but let's not forget technology is not always something hooked up to electricity. A regular wooden wheel is a form of technology. We've just gotten so advanced. Look this up. And since Death Battle forgot to do it, I'm gonna list off all the things technology-wise that Sage can take over in Bowser's army. The cannons that shoot bullet bills, the screens on chance time, Bowser Jr.'s poltergeist paintbrush, even, yes, pipes. Look this up. It's literally technology. Here's our modern pipe technology today. Here's Mario's. And here's what they used to look like back then. I gotta say, if this was taken into account, then the fight would be way more interesting. Also, one thing I want to bring up before I move on is out of every single death battle, we see powers and strengths all shown, but in this one, we don't really see speed get brought up at all like that. So when Death Battle said her powers have no use in this fight,
and since the Koopa Troop doesn't rely that much on technology, Sage's hacking potential had little use.
You must have been playing Sonic Left Tears.
Even with Sage's millions of plans to take down the Titans, she thought them to be unbeatable, which Sonic proved was incorrect.
What happened was, she did know a way to beat the end, but it had to do with Eggman teaming up with Sonic.
After reviewing your entire campaign history, I have found the most optimal course of action is to create an alliance with Sonic.
What?
You stopped the Ark, overcame Neo Metal.
I don't want to hear it. Those alliances were purely out of desperation.
But time is running out.
I don't want to hear it. Find me another option.
She specifically said that the chances of them winning were not likely unless they teamed up together. Also, when Sage was saying that there was 0 outcomes where Eggman wins against the end, Eggman didn't even have the Chaos Emeralds, Sonic did. He didn't even have any of his army or anything along those lines. Now compare that to all the items that you gave to Eggman and also left out. She would be able to think of trillions of ways with all the powers of the emeralds and whatnot. In this fight, Sage has not only Metal Sonic, who she can take control of as well, but she also has Infinite. In one of the ending scenarios, you showed Time Eater as Eggman's strongest mech, which actually isn't his strongest mech. It's the one from Sonic Forces, which is stated to be 1,000 times stronger than all of Sonic's past bosses.
This Death Egg robot has... No! I have surpassed Infinite to become the complete and ultimate form! Every defeat, every humiliation at the Hedgehog's hands will be returned 1,000-fold!
And in the Japanese version, stated to be 1,000,000,000,000 times. Keep in mind, this mech was using the power of the Phantom Ruby and is able to affect dimensions across time, just like Time Eater, but is very much stronger. And the Death Egg robot that you showed, it was a random robot that was actually destroyed by one of the Titan robots, which for some reason did not show up in the death battle, even though actually all of them were stronger than base Sonic and Sage was able to control them. Next, there was a moment in the video where you said that Eggman conquered the world one time.
Just comparing their conquests makes it clear. The Eggman Empire took over the whole planet, but Bowser's troop conquered most of the universe.
This is not true. You played Sonic Generations. He took over the whole timeline. Everybody was trapped in time, with the only ones being spared being Shadow and Sonic. Also, during the battle, an ability called Chance Time was taken out and used for Mario Party. Whether you think Mario Party is canon or not, I think it very much is. But in Sonic Shuffle, Eggman has Eggman Roulette. But to be fair, not many know that Sonic Shuffle is canon, even that it has its own story. The Precious Stone is held in the 4th dimensional plane of existence in Sonic Shuffle, or in the Sonic universe, and that's where everyone's dreams, which are their own worlds, exist. Also, the characters in this game were traveling across billions of light years. It is very much canon, as when thinking of a name for the Phantom Ruby, one of Eggman's robots said, "How about the Precious Stone?" or something like that, and the other one says, "Wrong game." So I can see why you didn't do the same thing like you did for Mario Galaxy Mario when you shown that he was going massively faster than the speed of light plus with your calculations and stuff. Last but not least, we gotta talk about Metal Sonic. Thankfully, this death battle did make people realize that Metal Sonic is definitely the most underrated character in the whole Sonic franchise. You said that Kamek took away Metal Sonic's ability to download bio data. Going Super grants you new abilities while also replenishing anything you lost. With that being said, Metal Sonic could have copied everybody's bio data there, including anybody from his army, even a crazier transformation than any of his Overlord transformations. And the argument of him needing Shadow or Sonic's data to transform into an Overlord form just doesn't hold up. Because if you play Sonic Heroes, Eggman literally says, with bio data and chaos energy, Metal Sonic was able to transform.
It's useless! Metal Sonic has combined your data with the power of chaos and is super strong!
It doesn't matter what bio data he has, as long as he has the bio data and the chaos energy, he can transform, and that's it. Another thing is, Metal Sonic is not a Dragon Ball character. He wouldn't have done a beam struggle, instead he would have blocked it with his crystal. Metal Sonic's main priority is to protect Eggman, and also as Neo he has the same bio data as Eggman, so he's as smart as him. And consistently throughout the comics you'll see that he just straight up blitzes all of his opponents, even in the games. Which is another thing Death Battle got right with him. But later on in the fight, when it came to the beam struggle, that would have never happened. The thing about Metal Sonic is when he copies your bio data, he doesn't need to use the power source of where you get your power from. He just creates it or replicates it. For example, in Sonic Rivals, Shadow uses Chaos Control to slow down time and stop it, and Metal Sonic can see that and will copy the same thing, yet he doesn't have a Chaos Emerald or Chaos Energy flowing inside of him. He just replicates it after copying your bio data. SBO within his DNA has the power to go invisible. Well, Metal Sonic can see that and he does the same thing, copying it by downloading his bio data. Metal Sonic were to see Dark Form Bowser, who on a side note would not get along with any of the army and probably wouldn't even do this, because in the game Bowser Jr. literally went begging for Mario to please help because his dad went crazy, and his dad was even trying to hurt his own son. That's how bad it got. He was completely out of control, so I don't think this Bowser would have acted this much sane. But either way, Metal Sonic's bio data was definitely downplayed in this fight. As you can see, when he goes super in the comics, not even Super Sonic could pull up on this Metal Sonic because he'll get completely neutralized, as Metal Sonic uses the power of the Master Emerald, which in the fight he has Chaos Emeralds floating around him, which really confuses me because he doesn't use the power of the Chaos Emeralds, he uses the Master Emerald. So this might be a weaker Super Metal Sonic. On top of that, I did still notice that he did grab a green emerald, so it may have been the Master Emerald because the Master Emerald can be shrunk. And if you don't know by now, Metal Sonic is the closest thing to Sonic, and it's said over and over and over again. Even in Sonic Generations, it says that this is his strongest rival. Metal Sonic has literally fought the gauntlet, starting with Sonic and Tails. He's been jumped over and over and over again repeatedly by them. Jumped by Sonic, Tails, Mighty the Armadillo, and Ray the Squirrel. Twice, by the way, even with the Phantom Ruby. He fought a 2v1 against Sonic and Silver, and the only way they could actually deal with him was by throwing him away. He fought Shadow alone, copied his bio data, and had him slammed on the floor. He got completely jumped in both of his Overlord forms in Sonic Heroes and in the comics by everyone. He even got jumped by Sonic in the Wisps in Sonic Colors. He's able to surpass Sonic's speed a lot of the times as well. And I feel like Death Battle ignored speed way too much, especially in the final verdict of the winner. Sonic within the games has multiple immeasurable speed feats, and Metal Sonic is still able to keep up and even surpass him till this day. While you showed that Mario can go billions of times faster than the speed of light via the Lumas, but only massively faster than light plus. Being a measurable speed is going so fast that there's not even a number for it. It's way over trillions, way over billions. It's so fast that you can't even calculate it. Traveling through space and time is one thing, but traveling beyond is a whole nother level, which is what Sonic and even Eggman has done consistently. Not one time, not two times, multiple times. Again, no hate to Death Battle. I literally only have like one problem with the whole channel, and that's really just that they don't put the strongest versions of each character against each other all the time. I seen that they showed Dream Bowser, and they could have done Nightmare Eggman against that.
She tried to trap me in my own creation, but I control my dreams. And now you fools have delivered her to me, and you lot are no longer welcome in it.
Nightmare Eggman can do whatever he wants and wish for whatever he wants in the dream world, just like Bowser was doing in the game. They both did the same thing. And I really think Death Battle is really important to the whole community because it really gets you very fascinated and interested into learning more about the characters. And I think that's why I still watch to this day, because even though there's a lot of Death Battles, I never knew nothing about the characters, so it gets me fascinated, so I learn more. They might get some things wrong, but we all do. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. I hope you guys have a great day, and make sure to hit that bell to know exactly when I upload. Love you guys. Peace.